Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska and this is the news. In Klaipėda, Lithuania, Polish President Andrzej Duda, along with the presidents of the Baltic states, took part in a ceremony to hand over the floating LNG terminal in Deepens to Lithuania, which is crucial to Lithuania's energy security. The unit was previously owned by a shipping company from Norway.
Floating LNG unit Independence under the Lithuanian flag, along with gas interconnector Poland-Lithuania, Baltic Pipe, LNG terminal in Świnoujście, and many other valuable projects contribute significantly to our collective response to Russia's intimidations. May this event today be an inspiration to further boost intra-regional collaboration, leverage our joint potential, as well as to contribute to EU-wide security and resilience in energy sector. Let us continue with this noble mission for the benefit of our peoples, for peace and for stability. Thank you.
Russia has shut down the Polish Consulate General in St. Petersburg in what it called a retaliation for the closure of the Russian consulate in Poznań in November, the Russian Foreign Ministry said in a statement on Thursday. The Russian Foreign Ministry said in a statement it was also declaring 3 of the Polish consulate's diplomatic staff members as undesirable people and that they would have to leave Russia by a certain date. It was emphasized to the Polish side that Moscow has taken and will continue to take tough retaliatory measures against any unfriendly steps towards Russia. Poland's Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski told Reuters Russia had no right to react in such a way, as Poland's decision to close the consulate in Poznań was a reaction to Russia's sabotage and arson in Poland. Moreover, Sikorski added that Poland does not conduct arson or sabotage in Russia. However, everyone knows what Russia is like, so this is not an unexpected action. Tensions between Russia and Poland, a NATO member and Kiev ally, have been rising since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. There is not enough money to pay teachers. This concerns 150 teachers from the Świętokrzyskie region in Poland. Problems with securing funds for salaries are also reported by Bytom and Siemianowice Śląskie. There, the shortfall already amounts to 40 million zloty, and it could get even worse because in order to pay teachers at least part of their salaries, local governments have stopped paying social security contributions to their subordinate employees. Earlier today, the Polish parliament also passed a budget bill for the upcoming year. The presumed budget deficit reaches nearly 300 billion zloty, the largest Polish debt in the entire history of the Third Polish Republic. The money is gone again. 150 teachers in the municipality of Bodzentyn in the Świętokrzyskie region have not been paid for November, and they will most likely not get paid for their work in December either. We are concerned that there may be more such cases in the future and in the near future. It concerns the issue of non-payment of salaries for teachers in the municipality of Bodzentyn as a result of the conflict between the municipality's authorities, the mayor and the council. A stalemate has developed where neither a resolution to take out a loan for a current business has been adopted, nor a recovery program, which is a condition for releasing funds for these salaries. For now, the problem affects 150 teachers, but the Polish Teachers Union is sounding the alarm that similar situations could recur in more regions in Poland. In Bytom, for example, there is a shortfall of as much as 32 million zloty to pay teachers' salaries. In Siemianowice Śląskie, 8 million. Both cities, in order to pay salaries, withheld social security contributions from the salaries of several thousand employees of their subordinate local government institutions. Some schools have paid their employees social security contributions for October, but they will no longer have money in November and December. The deadline for repaying the overdue amounts have been postponed by the Social Security until next February. And what will happen after February? The debt spiral will unravel, as the city is unlikely to receive additional funds to pay off the outstanding obligations. Teachers also did not get their salaries on time in Kwileń in the Greater Poland region. election. The money was only found when they announced they would stop conducting lessons. Local government officials are complaining, in their view, about subventions from the state being too small. And it was a priority issue for Tusk, so the problem lies here too. Because if we're talking about the bankruptcy of the Polish state, and from the budget, these macroeconomic figures, it's translated into the real interests of the people at the bottom. Well, simply put, education no longer works. We know that healthcare is completely dismantled. And yet, a year ago, when taking office as prime minister, Donald Tusk promised teachers' salaries will increase by 30%, and this increase will be from the 1st of January, as we promised. They promised. Oh, they promised. It is a priority for us, the 30% raises for teachers. Let's remember that we have the opportunity to get money from the National Reconstruction Plan, which the current government does not have. But this is not money for raises. We know what to do in order to have money for our programs, which we announced as part of the 100 specific promises. Today, MP Lubnauer no longer wants to talk about the situation of teachers. Good morning. I wanted to ask about those teachers from Silesia, those 150 teachers who are not being paid their salaries. Wasn't this something that the president blocked? However, I must thank you for now. If I make an appointment with you, then maybe we can talk. I don't know if you know, this is already a corridor to the hotel. A brief comment on these teachers, please. But after all, it's after the election. To promise twice is like keeping a promise once. Political promises bind only those who believe in them. That's not all. Armament expenditures have fallen. There is not enough money for health care. There is no money for the construction of the central transportation port in Poland or the development of nuclear power. Promises to raise the tax-free amount to 60% can also be considered a broken promise. What do we have instead? Minus 290 billion zloty. That's the deficit assumed by the budget law adopted today for the next year. Unfortunately, we are dealing with a gigantic, huge debt for Poland. Dear compatriots, consider that those currently in power are putting Poland in debt on a scale we have never seen before. In 2 years, that amounts to 500 billion zloty, more than 500 billion zloty. And when under the Law and Justice government, the deficit was 60 billion zloty. Politicians of the opposition at the time sounded the alarm. Law and Justice is putting Poland in debt like no government in history. Next year's budget hole will be about 60 billion zloty. The budget bill was supported by 232 deputies. Against it, 207 parliamentarians have voted. The document will now be taken up by the Senate. He was supposed to put out the fire, but instead he added fuel to the fire. In his address to the nation, French President Emmanuel Macron said he did not feel responsible for the political crisis in France. He placed the blame on his compatriots, among others, claiming that they elected the wrong parliamentarians. With the collapse of the government, France descends into the worst chaos it has seen in 60 years. If anyone could further deepen the political crisis in France after the fall of the government and the rejection of the budget bill, it is only him. Last night, French President Emmanuel Macron delivered an address that infuriated his compatriots.
Je n'assumerai jamais l'irresponsabilité des autres.
I will never take the blame for the lack of responsibility of others, and notably lawmakers who chose knowingly to bring down the budget and the government of France a few days before Christmas. The mandate you democratically gave me is a 5-year mandate, and I will carry it out fully until the end. What's more, Emmanuel Macron put part of the blame for the chaos of the country he governs on ordinary people.
President
Macron just said that it's not his fault, that everything he's doing is overall good, and added that it's also our fault that we voted, we citizens, for the so-called extreme parties. So it's not his fault. It's the fault of Michel Barnier's government. It's the fault of the so-called extreme parties and the fault of the citizens. Macron seems to have forgotten how he contrived during the June and July parliamentary elections. He withdrew his own candidates in favor of the left, only to stop the march to power of the right-wing national rally led by Marine Le Pen. These artificial moves reversed the will of the people, and today, France is in chaos.
Macron a un gros problème.
I think Macron has a serious problem that he doesn't understand. He doesn't realize the seriousness of the situation. He doesn't understand what kind of crisis we are facing in our country. The vote on next year's budget was lost. Michel Barnier's government collapsed. There is no majority in parliament to support the new prime minister. For the sake of the people, there was no choice but to vote against this government, because this government was working against the people. I regret that it ended this way, but it could have been different if the government had looked out for the interests of the people. Macron is expected to propose a new candidate for the prime minister soon. France must pass a budget because the country could become paralyzed. I will appoint a new prime minister, who first of all will have to introduce a law that will allow the country to function. This must be done before the middle of December. People are furious at the president's arrogance and his series of misguided decisions. We are left to fight in the streets because this is what these authorities are forcing us to do. People are already mobilizing. The situation in the country is terrible, for example, in the healthcare, which is underfunded. French people can't cope with inflation and unemployment, and they say there are no prospects for the future under Macron's rule. I'm horrified and angry. This is not how it was supposed to go. I expect Macron to take responsibility because people don't know what's going on in the country. Rioting in the streets, a rebellion of illegal immigrants brought in en masse, stores looted, cars set on fire. This is the daily reality that ordinary French citizens have to live with. And on top of that, the country is facing the biggest political crisis in more than 60 years.
Macron
is not able to provide neither material stability, nor security on the streets, nor cultural security, nor material security, nor physical security to the French people today. And indeed, he has even lower support today than ever before. Only a dozen to 20% of French people perceive him positively, and he has nothing to offer today. His rule has plunged France, and a way out of this crisis is not in sight. Today, Poland celebrates Santa Claus Day. The 6th of December is undoubtedly the day all children look forward to. Lots of smiles, joy, time spent together with family and friends, and above all, excitement as they unwrap presents from Santa Claus. The origin of Santa Claus goes back to the time of Saint Nicholas, Bishop of Myra, who lived at the turn of the 3rd and 4th centuries. He became famous for his extraordinary generosity and helping the poor. Thanks to his many gestures of kindness, he became a symbol and patron saint of all those who need help. The modern celebration of Santa Claus Day in Poland focuses on giving small gifts, but in order to get one, you must first write a letter to Santa Claus. And here, the creativity of children knows no bounds. I asked for 3 stuffed animals. I asked for bookmarkers because I like to read. I also wanted a light for books, so it would be easier for me to read. Lapland, with its snowy landscapes and the aurora borealis, is a real Christmas wonderland. That is where Santa Claus lives. He has a long way to reach Poland, but it's all to make children's dreams come true. I asked for wireless headphones because I like to listen to music. I asked for beads for bracelets because I really like to make bracelets with beads. I asked for a white teddy bear, the kind my grandfather once bought me for Christmas. There are also those most important desires on the wish list. To spend Christmas with the whole family, including my dad, mom, grandma, and aunt. My biggest wish is to live peacefully, in peace, for there to be no wars, for us all to celebrate Christmas Eve together, and for there to be peace around the world. But also the practical ones. I would like to be a dancer. I would like to have my dream room. My biggest dream is to have my own room with a gaming computer. Caritas of the Warsaw Archdiocese celebrates Santa Claus Day every year. But children there can count on a pinch of attention from caregivers not only on Santa Claus Day. We give children the opportunity to learn and support them in various initiatives of their own, but also in group development, including their own artistic achievements. Caregivers use truly magical powers to bring smiles to children's faces. We packed gifts for the children, prepared the room, and learned to sing carols. The children were excited as they talked beforehand about what was going to happen and what it would look like. Santa Claus Day is not just about gifts. Above all, it's about spending time with other people and bringing goodness, because happiness only multiplies when it is shared. That's all for the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.